Okay, last step. Now you want to export all this thing. There's a whole series of files you're going to want to export. There's two file types. One will be your drill file and one will be your Gerbers. You're going to export your drill file for where all the drill holes are, and then you'll export one separate Gerber for your top silk screen, for your top copper, for your bottom copper, and then for solder masks, top and bottom. If you've seen nice professionally made printed circuit boards, they'll have solder masks, which is an area of green resist that will go everywhere on your circuit, on your printed circuit board, and where there's, except for where you've got holes and places to solder. And it will prevent you from, say, solder bridging these two things by accident, because there'll be the solder mask in between that will repel the solder. So that solder masks will be in additional Gerber files. Let's do it. Under File, you'll say Export, and you'll start off with your NC drill. That stands for Numerically Controlled Drill. Use your design origin, and let's just preview this. These are where all the drill holes are. You can see the big ones for the mounting holes in the corner. So you will not export all. Export all will export all kinds of things you don't care about. You just want to say export. Allow the program to specify your tools. Choose yes. And then rename. This is from, I'm just going to quickly get rid of these. Then rename it to something like drill or NC drill file. You want to rename these things to make every file totally obvious, because it's not going to be you who builds these things. It's going to be probably a Chinese PCB foundry, and these guys are not going to speak your language, so you want to make it easy on them. Okay, and then you're going to close it. So that's the first of your files. Next, every other one is going to be a Gerber. So here's your Gerber files, and you're going to start off by using your top silk screen. So again, use design origin. Just let's preview it to see what you're exporting. So this is just the ink that goes on the top that shows you where your components are. Looking at this now, I'm not sure I've done a good job with all my silk screens. Like, for instance, this jack, yeah, there'll be a jack here and there'll be a jack here, but you don't know what the purpose of that jack is. So let's quickly choose to write some stuff on that top silk screen layer up here. And let's choose the text tool. And let's say what this is. This is going to be power. Shoot, let me try that again. There we go. This will be power. Got to remember to press escape when I'm done. And I'll say even more than that. We want to say which side is the positive side and which side is the ground side. And then you can move them around with the arrow tool. To help. This will help you so much when it's not you building this, but it's someone else on your team who's powering this thing up, and it will prevent all sorts of accidents. You want to do this for your other jack as well. Okay, so now we're ready to export our Gerber silk screen layer. So top silk, let's just take a look at that preview. Now we've got our power things. You should do it for your other jack as well. And export just that layer. Make sure you use that design origin. And instead of saying top silk, I recommend saying top silk screen. Again, just really spelling it out for these people. Top mask is short for top solder mask. So let's export that layer, top solder mask. The top is short for your export layer, your top copper layer. Preview will show you exactly what it is. So these are all of your traces. Notice it's solid. Doesn't have a round hole because the drill will go right through the middle of the copper. We've got our bottom solder layer. We've got our bottom copper. We're going to have a bottom solder mask. Take a look at what that bottom solder mask looks like. So it's everywhere except for where these holes are. Export layer, bottom. Now let's change that to solder mask, export layer. And we don't have a silk screen on the bottom. You could add one if you wanted to. It's typically, it's not very common. And then the last is going to be your board outline. Let's preview this. So here's our board outline. And remember, we made a cutout of it inside it. So that's what we want. And then you'll export that as well. Board outline, save. And that's everything. Now you've got all of the files that you can send to a PCB foundry anywhere in the country and have this thing made. Do you guys have any questions for me? And if I was grading this one, I'd say this is pretty good, except it still got still had some right angles. And what else don't I like about it? I don't like the fact that this jack is not properly annotated. And I don't like the fact that its ground is great. It's nice and thick, but I don't like the fact that I have not yet updated its power lines too. And you'll be able to do a better job with me than with reducing some of all these really long wires. But what I like about this is that the wires are spread out. I don't have many 90-degree angles, if any, and I don't have a whole lot of these vias. Not a whole. Take care, guys.
For the power, the thick trace on U4 at the bottom left.
Yeah.
Is that connecting 8 pins together?
Yep, that's right. Okay. This isn't power. This is actually ground. And a lot of the pins on U4 are grounded. And that's by intent. And if it wasn't supposed to be, when you did the verification check design rules, instead of saying no errors found, it would find errors. Watch what we do here. This looks almost the same, right? But now if we choose verification, it's going to come up with all these errors, and it will localize them with these tiny little circles. We can localize them right here, and we can get rid of them just by bringing it back the way we had before.
Okay.